Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hairdresser Power. And we have Shannel Mariano, right?
Mariano.
Mariano. See, I said it wrong. She just told me how to say it. See, I have such a short attention span. But Mariano, and it's at Shannel Mariano, and you're on Instagram, and you're in Phoenix, right? You're remote
Yeah.
from Phoenix. Now, are you at your house or a salon, or where are you today?
I'm at my house right now.
Okay.
I'm off.
Right on, right on. So how long have you been living in Phoenix?
9 years.
9 years. Okay, so where are you originally from? Arizona or California?
No,
Where are you from?
But before this, I was in California for beauty school.
Oh, okay. So you actually went to, so you had, what, 1,600 hours? I think California's 1,600 hours. Yep. There you go. And now this is great because mostly we have people that are focusing on color on our show. And, you know, because that's where they make all their information is on Instagram through color. But you're a little different because you're all about cutting. So
Yes.
this is exciting, something different today, right? Yeah, and hey, everybody, just so you know, I'm going to shave, and I just wanted to make sure people know, because you know they're going to talk a little smack. I'm trying to grow this out right here, but then I didn't shave, and that's why I look like that today. But next time I'll be all shaved, and I'll color this in so you don't see the old man white, right? That's what color's about, you know? You color your hair, and it actually makes you look younger than a facelift, believe it or not. They've done studies on that, where when you color your hair, it makes you look 20 years younger, and if you get a facelift, it's about 10 years younger. And that's something that a haircut can do too. Like my transition? Yeah, haircuts can, right? Hair color is important, but cutting also can bring out so much of your facial features, you know, emphasize or take away from things that you want to de-emphasize. And obviously, for a long time now, we've been into more of a, you know, loose look, you know, not really precision. But we were just talking a couple seconds ago, you're thinking precision's coming back. So tell us about that. Tell us about what you hope to have happening or what you see happening.
Well, what I noticed with my heart, I just love precision cuts. I like short, classic cuts. Makes me happy when I do it. But I notice a lot of my clients coming in with photos of bods, sharp bods. They're really particular about how clean it is.
Yes.
They get excited when they grab their hand, like their hand mirror and checking it from the side. Yeah, that's the trend I'm noticing in my chair at least.
Yeah, and most of your postings are about cuts, right? On Instagram. Most of your Instagram stuff is about cut, right?
Yes.
So now, okay, now I've been a cutter for a long time. That's my emphasis too. I love color, but cutting is where I really excelled and where my passion is. You know, I started in the 70s, and in the 70s we had a lot of precision cutting going on, and I've used many tools. I use everything from a razor to clippers, even on women's cuts, even to finish edging, you know, cutting out the back, all these other things. So tell me about your tools that you like to use and how you use them a little bit.
I like to use my scissor. I only started doing hair in 2009, so I'm a young hairstylist.
Okay.
So I master one tool at a time.
Okay.
And so far, I'm still stuck with a scissor. There's just so much more to learn. The more I learn it, the more I realize there's so much more to learn. So I don't know if I'll ever get to a razor or clippers. I use clippers, you know, sometimes for my clipper cuts, but
Sure.
I don't put that much time into learning it yet.
So you don't feel 100% comfortable, in other words, cutting a bob with a pair of clippers or using the razor for texturizing. Okay, all right, well, that's honest. That's good. But I can't wait to see your work because I know that if you're getting popular on Instagram, your work's awesome. So I can't wait to see it. Just a couple more questions for you. Also, you know, when you're cutting and whatnot, now a lot of people cut with a different size comb, different size shears. Some people use brushes. You know, there's a lot of techniques. What's your kind of format that you use for cutting?
For cutting, like tools size?
Yes. Yeah.
I have small. I'm 4'11". I have small hands, so I use small scissors.
Okay, like 5.5 inch, 4.5 inch. What do you use?
4.5, anywhere from 4.5 to max 5.5.
Okay.
My combs are all smaller cutting combs, YS Park 339s. Brushes, Denman or a vest brush.
Okay, and then when you blow dry, because we're talking about cutting and blow drying are synonymous, in my opinion, with one another. When you blow dry, do you blow dry in the pattern of the cut? Do you have a special technique to use? Because a lot of guys that use Denmans, or women or men that use Denmans, they tend to blow dry in a certain direction with the cut. So what's your theory on that?
With cutting, I just adjust whatever I'm doing to get it to lay as not flat, like a natural fall as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes going by the cut doesn't really work, because sometimes the hair just has a natural bevel to like the left. Then even if I should be blow drying it in theory towards the left, I'll go the opposite side just to change it. So it's always a case to case.
Yeah, so I would say, based on that answer, more growth patterns rather than.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. You know, when you get a little more advanced, you start to get into the growth patterns. And when you can cut along growth patterns and incorporate that, you're that comfortable with cutting, oh, you know how those cuts are. They're beautiful. They fall right into place. Your client's like, are you kidding me? This is the best haircut I've ever had because I didn't have to work so hard to get the look because it was cut right. Absolutely. And then the other thing, we're talking about getting more into the tighter geometric type of cuts now rather than the loose cuts. You're talking about you like the tight bobs and things like that. Where do you see that going?
Like bobs and everything?
Well, if you like the tight bobs, what about geometric cuts, like geometric bangs, geometric sides, patterns, things like that? Yeah.
Just a small percentage of my clients ask for that. So I think it's still a little too much for some people. But for some of my clients who are into it, that's their normal. Yes. They just want they really want to stand out. But I still see that it's not for everyone, still not for the majority.
Okay, so you're still doing mostly the layered, the lob, you know, the long bob, the long layers.
Geometric, like bobs and everything, but nothing too crazy. My like crazy out there haircuts, that's probably just like 20%.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of that, let's take a look at one of your first pictures, and then we can get into it. You can show me what's going on. Okay, come on now. Now that's pretty tight. That's pretty dramatic. So what's going on?
Oh, I actually don't see it. I'm sorry.
Oh, geez, you don't see it. Okay, well, just a minute. We'll see what's going on here with Mr. Steven over there. Got a little technical difficulty.
Oh, there.
Do you see it now?
Yes, I see it.
Oh, wonderful. Walk us through this.
See, my Instagram, it's more about educating and showing people how to cut hair. I don't want to just post things and show, look what I could do. Look at this awesome haircut. I always put value into what I post. I always think about my followers when I post. So here in this haircut, I'm trying to show people how, no matter how crazy or creative a haircut is, it's just all the application of the fundamentals. So this photo in particular, it's just a combination of a graduation, a really low graduation in the back, layers on the side, and just a one length in the front for her fringe.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that like for a demo? Does she actually wear her hair like that now?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
She always different hair. It's just a little bit longer now.
That looks cool. That's really cool. So now, what kind of job does she? For example, a client like that, what kind of job did she have, and how did you meet her? And tell us a little more about that, like how you pick your clients and how you decide, is this cut appropriate for this individual?
Actually, for my clients, a lot of them spend a few minutes convincing me to do the haircut.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I want to do it, but I just don't want anyone crying afterwards or scratching my car, taking my firstborn. So I always ask them, are you sure? When did you think about this? Just in the waiting area 5 minutes ago? And then they say, no, Shannel, I've been wanting this for a few months. Yeah. And then or sometimes I even get worried, like, are you sure? I think this is too crazy. And so it's more of them convincing me. But
through Instagram, you're attracting more of those people as clients, right?
That's true, yeah.
So when did that start to happen for you? Did you do more traditional looks initially, and then through Instagram, you started getting all these people that are like, yeah, Shannel, I trust you. You've got this flair, and I really want you to do something creative on my hair. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. I started posting regular haircuts first, and then after that, I figured, you know what? I'm just gonna post really what makes me happy. That way, I could attract that clientele, and that's what happened.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then how much of a percentage do you think of your clientele that you're getting from Instagram now? What percentage? Is it a high percentage?
Well, my Instagram isn't geared towards clients. Okay. It's more towards education.
Right, okay.
So my demographic are hairstylists. They're the ones I have in mind. But I still get clients, which I'm kind of shocked because it's pretty crazy, the stuff I have online.
Yeah. Because it's open to everybody. Not only stylists look at your page, people that maybe are looking for something different or something creative might see you and go, wow, how do I contact her? And they just DM you
That's true.
And is that how it works? Tell us how that works if somebody contacts you.
Well, actually, just call the salon is what happens, and
Okay.
then the salon just puts a note from Instagram, and it's pretty cute when they come in because they already know my name. They ask me about my daughter. They actually know the technical terms too, which is kind of cute. But then I still double check and make sure that they actually understand what they're
Yeah. Yeah.
asking for.
So if someone says, you say, hey, when did you get the inspiration there? Well, I was really drunk last night and I wrote this down on a piece of paper. That would be a warning sign, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad that you're conscientious, that you really are concerned with, okay, now you want to do this. Let's make sure that this is something you can really work with and that's acceptable in your job and other things, correct?
Yes, yeah. Especially styling, that they could recreate, like flat ironing it. That way they don't look like a crazy person with bedhead the next day. That's on me.
That's what we were going for, right? Okay, well, let's check out the next one. That was very interesting. Check out the next one. Wow, this is a beautiful haircut. Tell us about this.
Thank you. So again, I focus on education, and that's why there's always lines and stuff going on with the haircut. So this is my coworker, Claudia. She had super long hair. She was over it. She wanted something easier to style. So I gave her a graduated bob. Now what's interesting about this photo, I just found it when you guys asked for photos.
Sure.
The first time I posted this photo, it had 126 likes. And then I posted it again, but with better content, just thinking about value and educating people. Huge difference. It, I think, got almost 3,000, like 2,800 something.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It blew my mind. It just made me want to focus more on delivering value instead of just showing my work.
You know, I like the way the cut there contrasts that color. It's almost like it fades into lighter in the front. So what was the concept there? Did you plan that out, obviously, right?
Actually, someone else did the color.
Okay.
I don't even know who did the color. I was just focused on the cut. I was just happy that it ended up looking good with the highlights. I was worried that it would look spotty underneath, but she assured me, Shannel, if it's not going to look great, I'm going to get the color done again.
Yeah, it turned out really nice. And then, so how did you achieve that really round graduation? What was the technique there? Because in the back, that's beautiful. No stacking. It's just working right off the occipital and creating a really round line. I love that.
Thank you. Well, my biggest advice when people ask me about graduation is I just take the longest with my first section.
Okay.
It seems, and I always let my clients know, like, don't worry, because sometimes they worry that I'm taking forever with just that first section. I let them know that I'm taking my time because this will be the basis of the entire haircut. Right. So I just look at how it lays, see if I'm happy, and I'm also very conservative. So I'll keep it long, make the angle a little bit steeper, and then just go from there. And once I'm happy, standing away from it, then I finish the entire haircut.
So with that cut there, obviously we know you're dealing with the occipital bone and in the back. And it looks like, because that could create a shelf. And you have absolutely no shelf there, and it's really hugging into the thing. What was the angle you used? What was the technique you used in order to achieve that? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, this was from a long time ago.
Okay.
But what I can remember is I definitely used more horizontal diagonal sections. The reason why I don't get a shelf is, I know I'm just consistent with my sections. I keep it clean. I'm consistent with my elevation. I like to use my body as reference point. So I'll try to, like, let's say, I don't remember exactly what my elevation was because I really go visually.
Everyone's a little different because the head shape is a little different, yes.
Yeah. But when I get to the top, I like it to be a little bit heavier. So sometimes I like to keep my elevation the same. So I'll use some parts of my body, like my belly button or a button in my shirt, and use that as a reference point.
Oh, so against their body, you'll use it as a reference point.
My body.
Yeah.
So anything with layers, I'll use my body. Like I'll elevate all to my nose. That way it's consistent. Okay. Or I'll elevate to like my station, the corner of my, the left corner of my station. That way on the other side, I'll do the same on the other side of my station.
I get you.
So using reference points, being consistent. I just try to use more common sense because sometimes I feel like we tend to memorize like what this person said, what that person says. But if you just forget about that and think about how could I make this symmetric? How could I make this? You just end up doing things that make sense.
Well, that's interesting because it's kind of like a surveying technique. You know how they use a transit and they look at it at a point, and they keep a common point to create this map of what's going on. That's kind of what you're doing. You're using even points off in the distance, like you said, the corner of your station or whatnot, a point on your body, as long as you're in the same position, obviously.
Yes.
Right, yeah, I was going to say that, but yeah. So, and don't turn the chair, I know. But it's pretty interesting because that's definitely a little different strategy, and it's working out well for you. And so did you have training on that? Did you learn that, or did you develop that yourself?
Oh, I learned that for sure.
Okay.
I'm crazy about education, so I just collected everything throughout the years, and I mean, it works for me, so I just keep doing it.
Well, another thing is, now that you are so into educating people, do you offer education, for example? Do you offer education classes through your Instagram, or do you do shadowing, or tell me what's up as far as that goes?
I teach classes. I go to different salons in different cities.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So I think this weekend I should be in Stockton, California, Placentia the weekend after. Should be booked till February 2018.
Wonderful.
And so it's fun. I teach, but even if I teach, I learn from the people I meet. It's pretty cool. And just from their questions, some of their questions I never even thought of. So we try to figure it out together. It's fun. I get a lot from them.
Well, I think that's what I always tell people, because I have a bunch of educators that work for our other company. And I tell them one of the things you'll find is that through educating, I know you're at a certain level, but when you go out and educate, it takes you even to a higher level. And it really makes you more creative to educate other people. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, and you don't get burnt out behind the chair, which is kind of nice. Because sometimes doing it every day and over again, you're like, oh my goodness, But when you get out there, you do some education, you help people, it's like you come back recharged, right? And more creative.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great that you're doing that. That's wonderful. Well, let's see the next one. Let's see what we have for the next one. Oh, okay. This is nice. Okay, so, you kind of did a modified fade on her, right? And then just left it long on the top? Is that kind of what you did?
Well, she actually had her sides really, really short, and she had the top long and disconnected. And she wanted to get out of that, but she was worried that the fade was way too high. So I remember we tried to create the illusion that she had a normal haircut, that it wasn't too high. So I had to really focus on layering the hair on top that fell on the sides to blend in with the fade.
Yeah, it looks great. Now, obviously, you did all that with scissor and comb. You can do anything with a scissor. You could take the hair down to the skin with a scissor if you have the right technique. But so in that case, you were getting that transition between where it was already short and the top. And were you trying to make it look harder or softer? What was your goal there?
I'm trying to make the top look softer because it was really disconnected, and the top was the sides were really high. But I think on this haircut, I think I did clippers just to get it short quick. We were more focused on the top.
Got you. Okay, and then you finished off with your, short scissors and just worked it in and softened it up. Probably texturized the ends a lot to make it work. Now, do you use thinning shears at all? Because I know you say you don't use a razor, but do you ever use a thinning shear or a chunker or a texturizing shear?
No, I don't. I don't. I own one, but I just don't know how to use it. So, I just don't feel comfortable if I don't understand something 100%.
Okay. Well, hey, that's what doll heads are for, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so fun. Good. And you're always learning, so I love that. Let's see the next one. Oh, wow. Hello. So just walk us through this, because this is pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. So I started out below the occipital bone with vertical sections, just a vertical section. I pivoted around till I reached, till it was almost horizontal.
Right,
and
where it's number 5, right? Like that's where you started going horizontal, where the number 5 is, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to start with horizontal is because with vertical is because I wanted it to be leaner, and I wanted to eventually get horizontal because at that point I wanted to start building weight.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. And then so what you did is you basically started your cut in the nape, and then you worked through the back edge and worked all the way up to the top. And then how did you finish the front? Because I noticed that you have a good transition over the ear.
The front, I just pulled it all the way back, but I didn't over direct too much because I didn't want to have too much length in the front.
Yeah, and then obviously you did a really good job dealing with the ear, because when you go that high near the ear, you could definitely get a lift on the ear flap. And so you just did that with very little tension. Is that how you finished that off, or did you freehand it, or what did you do?
The line, like cleaning up
Yeah.
the perimeter. Oh yeah, no tension at all. Just
Okay.
at natural fall.
So sometimes people that get into these cuts go, wow, you know, it's so weird, right by the ear, it lifts. Well, yes, because the ear does have a little spring to it. And obviously the finishing is very important. So can you kind of tell the folks about that? Like, because I know you teach all the time. What's your word of advice when you're going there, doing these really defined lines?
The defined lines. Finishing is the most important thing. My finish isn't like, I'm not focused on like, ooh, making it look pretty for my client. When I finish, I'm more focused on making it easier for me to fix my line, to clean it up. Because when there's too much of a bevel, when it's too much to the left or right, it's just hard. It gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
My focus is, I'm in my head. It's like, I need to create a clean line. All these hairs need to cooperate, and I need to do that by finishing. And then once I'm actually cutting already, I like to keep it at eye level. So I'll make my client pump them up higher. If it doesn't work, I'll actually kneel on the floor or get a stool, but I want everything at eye level where I could see. I take my time. I'm patient. I don't go scissor happy.
Okay.
The easiest thing to do is cut, but once you cut the hair, it's gone. So I really take my time. I stand away from my client. I use my mirror. I have them look down, put their head to the side. That way they don't just look good with their head upright. You know, when they're in the grocery, if they look into their purse, I want the people standing in the back to admire their haircut and not see little hairs sticking out. Or if they're balancing their phone between their head and their shoulders,
Sure.
I want all that to look good, because
Yes.
they're my walking advertisement.
I agree. Well, you know, Vidal Sassoon said it best. I always say this. If you don't look good, meaning your client, then we don't look good, meaning the hairdresser. So you really get that. Because I was able to eat breakfast with him and hang out with him. And,
Wow.
You know, because I worked with Gene Chacot, so they were friends, and we used to eat breakfast together, and he would tell me all these things. And that was one of the things he really did emphasize. He goes, your clients are your walking billboard. They've got to look good at every angle, and you get that. And I love that you get that.
Thank you.
Do you finish dry? Do you like to finish dry?
Yes, I like to finish dry. Yeah,
Okay.
just so I could see how it
Yeah.
is. I like them to shake their head. I want it
Love
to
that.
look good, not just for the photo, but in real life too.
I love that. That is so good, and I think that we need more of that. I think that's very important. And I'm glad that you're teaching that, because, you know, in the industry today, sometimes it's just like, get the cut done, put a collection together, and just do the same cut at everybody's head. And I definitely don't agree with that. I think each cut needs to be customized to that person's head shape, face shape, growth pattern, and lifestyle, right?
That's true. And I feel like that's how we're going to make a difference in this world. I mean, it's not just about haircut. There's more to it. You're
Absolutely.
touching lives, making them feel really good about themselves.
Yeah, and making it so it's not difficult for them to achieve that look. And when you've cut it right, and you've given the right products, and you've taught them how to do it, then your haircut's even better than somebody that may have done the exact same haircut. But if you've taken the time to make sure that client knows how to deal with their hair, your haircut actually becomes better and has more value. I think so.
And they feel like you care. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's because there's so many hairstylists out there who cut great hair. We're all so talented. But I think what sets us apart is showing that you care about.
I agree 100%. I preach that all the time, and you're right. Well, let's see what we have next. Oh, wow. This is pretty cool. I like the before and after. So walk us through this. And who did your color on this one?
She did her own color.
Oh, wow. Okay, I love it. So you just kind of worked with what was there, and you made it work. You made it pop.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, she had great color to begin with.
Yeah, so I know you have a strong growth pattern there. I could see that right in that section 10. I see a real big swirl there. And yeah, right? So that's something you had to be aware of and make sure you worked with it. So walk us through this cut. And I love how you expose the earlobe. That is such a cool touch. It is awesome. And it's almost like you got a twist in your graduation near the bottom, which is incredible. So walk us through that.
So with this haircut, Susie just asked me for an asymmetric haircut. And normally I would do it, how do I normally do this? I would always do it a certain way, but that morning I was just inspired. I thought, what if I just did it with longer sections throughout the head, like from left to right, just I don't know, short to long. And because in theory, in my head, it would work. So I tried it, and it was so much fun doing it. My sections were exactly what you see on the left. Diagonal, that's more horizontal. I started on one side of her head on the lower right corner. And as I got like around the ears, then I started incorporating the sides and just pulled everything back. Sometimes when I get bored with haircuts and I feel like, well, not really getting burnt out, but when I feel like I'm always going on autopilot, I'll just think of different ways to achieve the same look. And I find it fun. But I try to think about it a lot, especially if I'm doing it on a real client and not a doll head.
Yeah.
That way, no surprises and no crying, no tears.
Hey, were you good in geometry in school?
My favorite.
Yeah, see.
I could solve geometric. Remember those theorems?
Oh, yeah, the theorems, yep.
On people's heads. And I know it doesn't matter and it's not going to make the haircut any better, but it makes my heart happy.
Yeah, and it shows in your work. It's
Thank
good.
you.
So you're taking something that's your passion and you're turning it into beautiful art, because that's what that is, and it's incredible. I just love the fact that you took out the earlobe area. And so from behind, it's just so cool. What inspired you to do that one? That is real cool.
That wasn't planned. I wish I could say I planned it that way. It just happened. Yeah, it does look cool now that
It's
you pointed
super cool.
out about that.
Yeah, it's like a piece of jewelry, and it's actually her earlobe. I love it. Great job. So I knew you were a geometry girl. I love that though. Yeah, that's good. And it probably helps you in teaching, because if you can understand the principles of geometry, you could have a language that you can convey to other people, and that really helps.
Yeah, I actually use a lot. I use strings. That's what makes my education different. Is everything's very visual.
Okay.
You know how I tell people is you shouldn't memorize haircuts, right? We all know that. You need to understand it. But what I say is don't memorize theory either. Understand it.
Okay.
You shouldn't say like layering removes weight. Why does it? Why does lifting hair to 90 degrees remove weight? And then I just get my string, show it. That way they get a stronger grasp of it.
Yeah, and even like people don't realize, but the skin in the back of the head, when it's pulled down, it's stretched. When it's back, it's flexible. There's so many things that they need to realize, and on the sides as well. And I'm sure that's something that you talk to them about, and it's very important. With these precision cuts, you need to understand that. If it's a long layer, it doesn't really matter. But when you go into a really precise, artistic cut, boy, you know, this loose skin here, tight skin here, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and the camera doesn't lie.
It doesn't lie. And guess what? When you're moving around to the grocery store, like you said, people from behind notice. So
Yes.
the details are very important in these kind of cuts. So I love it. Okay, what do we have next? This is great. And this is a little older client, right? But it makes her look real hip. This cut makes her hip, and it's low maintenance, and it's fun. So tell us about this one.
So she came into my chair and she said she was starting to feel really old and that she kept asking for shorter haircuts. She calls them sassy haircuts, but she said they still kept making her feel old. So we did this. I started in the front on both sides, worked my way towards the back. Starting in the front caused it to be shorter in the front and gradually get longer towards the back. I wanted it to be really short on the temples just to make the top look extra long. The top, what I did was I cut short to long, shorter in the back, longer in the front. The reason why I did that was because I wanted it to naturally push forward towards her face to make it kind of work like a fringe. And I feel like just having it really long on the top and having the sides really short made it edgier for her. And she did feel fantastic afterwards.
It looks wonderful. Now, the only question I have for you is, how did you do your transition point between the top and the lower portion on the sides? What did you do there?
That's a great question. I connected it from the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you just pulled everything back and then just worked forward? Is that what you did?
I started with the back, like the very back. I connected it to the back of the top. I connected it with the hair in the back, and then just used that as the shortest point. And then from there, I just went short to long.
So then you didn't, from probably right behind the ear forward, you just let it be whatever it was that you cut on the top, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, it looks cool. And then it's probably fun for her to play with because she can get a lot of different styles out of that, right?
she's having so much fun with product right now.
Yeah, that is so cool. I love it. I love it. Let's see what we have next. This is not, oh, okay. So there you go. So you've got some variation going on here. Tell us about this one.
So this is Jessie. She wanted to keep her left side short, but she wanted the other side, because she used to have it all short underneath, and she used to have her top really long, but she wanted to grow out the other side and make the other side look like a bob, but keep the other side short. So what I did was I started out on the temple on the left side, over directed to the previous section. Once I got to the back, knowing that the other side needs to grow out,
yes,
I directed everything using a stationary guide just to preserve the length. So from over directing to the previous, I switched to maximum over direction.
Yeah, and it probably just dropped out, right? Because it doesn't seem like it would make it. Yeah, okay. So whatever dropped out, you just left it. And then there was obviously near the chin, okay, on the right side of the photo with where the longer side. Now, was that on purpose, or is that just what her grow out was as far as?
That's what her grow out is.
Yeah, okay,
So
which works.
Out.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. So what's she going to do in the front? Is that her maximum length now, or what's her next transition? Is she going to continue to grow?
Again, actually.
I'm sorry, I was talking. What was that?
Oh, she wants it to be below the chin. So we're still, to this day, still growing it out.
So you're almost going to get an A-line effect going on eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool because, you know, people don't realize sometimes you can make something that's in transition look really fashionable if you just take it easy and have the patience, right?
I wish I knew that before I did hair, because I looked like a crazy person every time I was growing my hair out.
Right? Yeah. And going into a stylist, you know that a million people, if they watch this, they're going to be like, oh, she's cutting my hair. Because you get so many things, so many of the subtleties that make a great cutter, that make a great stylist, and also listen to your client and showing them how to grow their hair out properly. And sometimes you want to force it, right? No. You get to force a flower to grow, right? No, you got to let it grow naturally. And sometimes that's wonderful. It's
journey.
Well, yeah, think about it. It's so awesome. You're younger. I mean, doesn't matter if you're young, but it's like you have an old soul when it comes to hair because knowing those things. It takes people a long time to learn that sometimes. Some people never learn that. So I'm glad that people are watching you and going, look at, she's young, she's new, she's not so long in the industry. I mean, right? You know, you're several years. But at this point, look where you've already come and your patience and what you can do. And I love to see that. So you're very inspirational. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because sometimes they don't listen to us old farts. You know that, right? Because they're old. But we've done all this stuff before. And then when someone young and fresh and creative like you does it, they're like, wow, same principles. But yet it works. So thanks for being that person. I really appreciate that.
No, it's really all the people I surround myself with. Everyone's just so kind and like selfless, giving me all this knowledge. And yeah, I'm just so grateful.
Well, it's probably your energy too, and you probably attract that, which is important.
Thank you.
So good, there you go. Well, let's check the next one out. Can't wait. Okay, here's a classic. Let's talk about it a bit.
So here in this post I put on Instagram, I just wanted to show people the difference. My goal is to cut her hair using a graduation afterwards and have all three in one photo. But this is my client. She started out with a one-length haircut. So I just put the arrows in to show people that the way I did it was just cutting everything at natural fall. And on the second photo, I layered her haircut. And what that did was it made her less of SpongeBob SquarePants. It gave her haircut more movement because I lightened it up.
Yeah. And it's that simple, right? Just keep it under control. Know where you are. Set your parameters and follow them, like you said earlier. I love it. Yeah. And it is a string if you think about it. You have to be able to see everything from the head and the head shape as it comes out. And then when it falls, you have to imagine that. That's where the geometry comes in, huh? And the visualization.
But it helps to actually see it because there's so much, like the doll head, so much hair, it gets overwhelming. But with just like my styrofoam head and yarn, you visually see what happens to each hair. And when they see it messed up, what happens when you're not consistent, I let them know, hey, that's just one row and it looks messed up. Imagine that multiplied hundreds of times.
Oh, yes.
How your look.
Have you ever been able to, and this is just me asking because I've done a lot of them, have you ever cut a wedge? Have you ever done that yet? A wedge?
No.
Okay, yeah. You should cut a wedge. It'll be a good learning and challenging experience for you to get a really good wedge cut, because they're interesting how you cut them. I used to have to cut, gosh, like 5 of those a day. I don't know if you remember, there was a skater called Dorothy Hamill. Okay, yeah. You should just try yourself on a wedge.
Okay.
And then you let me know. DM me and go, Patrick, check out my wedge. I just want to see what you do, because I think you're going to kill it. And it's,
Well, I just
go ahead.
received 2 doll heads today from Amazon. It's out in my door right now.
Right on.
I'll do it today.
Do a wedge. Okay, everybody, we're going to see a wedge from Shannel, and post that sucker, because it's going to be fun. And I want to see you get that flip and that wedge and that stack and all of it, all right? And let me know how, and like, tell us how it went, okay? Because I'm really excited to see that. Awesome. Fun. Hey, I challenged her. Hey, what do you know? Hey. So what's next? What's next, Steven? Oh my God, this is really gorgeous. Okay, so the thing on this, and you and I both know this, is when you go that far over in the fringe or bang, whatever you want to call that, whether you're from England or not, that is hard to maintain that edge sometimes. So what did you do here?
So this is Rachel. She was growing out. She had a creative haircut, and there were like longer pieces on the side. And I was telling her, if we don't take your fringe all the way to the side, it's gonna look weird. So we might as well have you look cute as we're growing it out, instead of you looking like a crazy person with random stringy pieces on the sides. That's the reason why we went all the way further to the sides. But with this photo, what I wanted to demonstrate is, since the head shape is rounder, when you pull hair in front of the face, the hair on the sides have to travel further than the hair in the middle. So if you cut straight across, because the sides travel further, they will end up longer. And since the middle didn't have to travel as far, it ends up shorter, and that's why she has the effect of a rounded fringe.
So did you take that to the center, cut it, and then you got that effect? Is that what you're saying?
The center, I just pulled it straight forward, but because the head shape is round, the sides still have to travel a little bit further.
Absolutely.
This is animation. It would make more sense if you
I see what you're saying. So you basically took it to that point. Your cut line was where the red dot is. When you dropped it, that's the effect you got, and then you finished it. You cleaned it up, obviously. It probably wasn't perfect on the first cut. So, and then you got that effect, which looks really awesome. So how did she like that? How did that work out for her? Like, how was the livability of that style being so far over for her?
Rachel, every time she gets a cut from me, like every 6 months. Like when I see her, she's a hairstylist, a new hairstylist, so she's able to style it really well. But I haven't seen her since I see her on Instagram, and so far her hair. Yeah.
Right on.
She's actually the model from the first photo. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her grow out. So we're still growing out her hair, but I'm just trying to get rid of the random, pieces from the last haircut.
Yeah, some of those tendril cuts that people are growing out right now. Yeah. So that's a good way to do it. I mean, it's different. It does require some styling capabilities, so it's not for everybody, but you pulled it off and it looked great. So wonderful. Love that. What do we have next? Okay, here's a pretty classic look here.
So this is Mary. In this photo, I just wanted to show people that when I cut hair, it doesn't end up, the way it looks on my Instagram, that there's always refining going on. And I was trying to show my tips for refining. So for me, it's not just stepping away or using my mirror. Taking photos helped me too. So on the left, after I took a photo, I, how you could zoom in with your fingers?
Yeah.
To see that by her ear, there was something that still needed to be cleaned up, and I got it. So it's just really patience. I think if you really love what you do, you don't have to think too hard, or it's not work. You just naturally end up caring about the little things and taking time and not feeling burnt out doing it. You actually enjoy it. Like, I wish my clients didn't have lives so they could just sit in my chair all day and we could just play hair.
Yeah, that's good. You're in the right business then. That is a great idea, because, I know, like, and so I can read print most of the time, but when it's like low light or whatever, because I'm getting a little older with my eyes and I don't always have glasses with me, I use my phone, and it really works well because you can zoom in and you go, whoa, you could see better than with glasses. So I like that technique. No, that's pretty innovative what you just did. That's the first time I've heard someone doing that using their phone. But if you think about it, you take a picture, you can zoom into the detail of the hair that you normally couldn't see. Plus, you know how light reflects and all, you don't always see it as well. So you've taken it to a stable environment and you're able to really look at where you need to focus. I'm going to do that. That's a great idea. Hey everybody, I hope you heard what she just said. Take a picture with your phone, look at it, zoom it in. You can see everything, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
did someone teach you to do that? Did you figure that on your own, or what happened
I
there?
figured it out because I'd take photos of my clients
Yeah.
and oh yay, this is good. I'm gonna post it tomorrow. But when I get home and zoom in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed that. So
Yeah.
then I learned why not zoom in while I'm with them and not wait till I get home.
That is a really cool, I mean, to me, I'm going to start talking about that. I'm going to use that in my class and go, hey, you know what? Sometimes you can take a picture and let me show you. And they're like, whoa, look at the detail here. Good job. Hey, you're teaching me. I love it. What do you got next? That's it? That's it. Okay, so the question is, what do you see the trends? What do you see for the trends? What's coming up? What would you like to see? Okay, what do you see? And what would you like to see?
Well, what I'm seeing right now everywhere else is that beautiful, organic, like boho, effortless, perfectly imperfect hair, which is really pretty. I love it. But on my chair, I'm noticing a lot of people asking for more bobs, more precision. They're more after like a clean edge is what I'm noticing. They like more of like bobs and stronger fringes is what my clients are asking more of now. So I'm thinking, because fashion is a cycle. It just right. We just recycle everything. I'm thinking because we're in this age where everything's more soft, maybe we're transitioning to the cleaner, more precise look.
I feel that.
I really hope that happens. It'll make my heart happy.
A lot of the older people that I've had on the show that have been around for like 40, 50 years, they feel that as well. That I've interviewed, they're going, I feel like people are going to need to learn to cut hair again, which is where you come in, because they can have you come in and teach them some of this hands-on in their salon. And how do they get a hold of you to do that? What's the best
Instagram.
thing?
Everything
Instagram,
in my life
right? Just DM you, right?
DM me. Yeah.
Right on. Okay. So when's your normal times that you're available? Is it a Sunday and a Monday, or just a Monday? What days do you?
Mondays, but normally Mondays.
Okay. Awesome. Good. That's so fantastic. You're helping people out. I like what you're doing. It's really, really nice. And also, I can't wait to see you cut that wedge. I'm waiting for that.
All heads waiting.
I'm ready, you guys. And hey, you know what? That may come back too one day. And that's a different cut. Watch when you cut a wedge. If you've never cut one, you're going to see. I got a pretty good technique for cutting wedges, but because I had to cut so many of them. But I'm sure you're going to find out something amazing, better than even the way I do it, because you're so creative. The other thing I was wondering is, one question is, when is the mullet coming back?
Oh, some people are asking for
I know.
The fashion mullets, but not the hardcore, real mullet.
Yeah. Well, you know what you tell them? You just say, hey, I get you. Your business in the front, you're a party in the back. I get it, right? Yeah, no, but I've seen a little bit. For a little while back in the 90s, there was a fashion mullet that was pretty popular for a couple of years, and we were cutting that quite a bit. But it kind of died out. But it can work with both men and women. It's just have fun on the transition if you don't know what you're doing, because, that's the key right there, is that transition point.
Got it.
So a lot of fun. So I want to see a mullet too, okay? So give me a wedge and a fashion mullet. You're going to create the trend. Like, next thing you know, everybody's going to be doing it. It's because of you, right?
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
I love it. So as far as, obviously we talk about cuts, we talk about styles, we talk about all that. What about any business advice? Just a quick word of business advice that you would give to people that have maybe not embraced, the Instagram, or that maybe are putting too much effort into it and then not doing enough work, or, what's your opinion on all that for business?
Business-wise, my advice to anybody, hairstylists or even educators, is to just love people. Like with, and if you're on Instagram, when you post, you have to think about your purpose. You have to think of your market. I know how old my market is, the gender, their amount of education. I've named that person. Her name is Nancy. So every time I post, I always think of Nancy. I think of her saying, so what? How does this bring value to me? Right. And then so my photos, when I take photos, I think about Nancy. When I make my my captions, I think about Nancy. So you'll see my Instagram, from just showing off my work, like, look what I could do, look what I could do. It's transitioned to me putting value and I see the numbers change. When I do my Throwback Thursdays, when I compare my old photo versus my newer photo, with just changing the purpose of it, huge difference. So it's just genuinely loving and caring for people.
Wow.
Is my biggest advice.
That's great advice. So who is Nancy? What is
Nancy,
her demographic? Yeah.
Nancy was basically me back
Okay.
in the day. She did do her research in picking a school that suits her learning type. So Nancy graduated not knowing how to cut hair. Nancy's first job, she didn't really get that much education. She didn't pick a salon. She didn't do her research, and she didn't pick a salon where she could get structured education. Yes, she was assisting, but she was more of shampooing and not getting much. Nancy.
I think Nancy's name is Patrick. Okay, go ahead.
Well,
That's what happened to me too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm geared more. I want to touch them more because
Yes.
I mean, there's a bunch of amazing hairstylists out there, and I think they could learn from the people I go to, who are amazing. I just want to be that in between. Because I know how it feels to be in Nancy's shoes. I know not to use big words for Nancy. Like, I don't know. I think if you could figure out who your Nancy is, whether it's a hairstylist, if you're an educator, or if you're a hairstylist and you want more clients from your Instagram, if you just think about whoever your Nancy is and speak her language, just genuinely love her, you'll reach your Nancy. And she'll come to your chair because she knows you're different. She knows you care. She understands you. You speak to her.
That's great, man. Sales 101. I mean, when you love and believe what you're selling, which we're all selling something, it shows and people are attracted and you're very successful and you're doing it. And I love that. So you guys, make sure to follow Shannel on Instagram if you have stuff you want to talk to you about, or education or shadowing or classes, DM you, right?
Yes, thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. And you know, guys, remember, sign up for Hairdresser Power on YouTube. Just subscribe, and we'll just send you every time there's a new one. Like when we have, I just said Nancy. When we have Shannel, you got me so into Nancy, you hypnotized me. No, when like people like Shannel, people like Alan Bush, people like, you know, the Color Guru, Dennis Gephardt, we have them here. It's channel neutral. You learn so much. It's inspiring, and that's what we need in our industry. More of this and less pushing product, which is what I believe in on the show. And that's where we're going to become better, by helping each other and caring about our industry, right?
Yes,
so
true.
Subscribe, and we'll send it to you. It's better than reading a magazine. Watch this. Get inspired, right? And you could say no. You could go, I don't want to watch it today, but maybe later you might want to. And you never know. You might learn something, and you might make a new friend, and you might find someone that can really help you and educate you, like you, Shannel. And I'm so inspired by what you did. I can't wait to see your bob and your mullet. And, you know, we'll be seeing you soon. Thanks. Nice to meet you, and we'll see you soon. See everybody soon. See you later, everybody. Thanks. Bye.